So in this segment, we're going to be talking about Brexit and lorry problems. I know I've done quite a few Brexit videos. Deal with it. So freight traffic slumps as costs soar as Brexit friction bites, and we're going to talk about a few different issues when it comes to the haulage industry and some of the stuff that the UK government are trying to do to alleviate those problems. People say it's the EU's fault. Yeah, you guys must be living under a rock or on some sort of drug or something because this is what happens when you're a third country. This is how you get treated. Freight traffic between Britain and the EU is down almost a third following the end of the Brexit transition period, with the new red tape and soaring transport costs prompting some small firms to suspend exports to the continent. Data seen by Sky News, lorry freight passing between Britain and its major European partners since the 1st of January has fallen drastically compared to the same period in 2020. Daily truck volumes between Britain and European countries, including France, Ireland, and the Netherlands, fell by 61% in the first days of January, are down 29% on average in the first 20 days of the year, according to logistics company Sixfold. And so they've got a graph here. It's kind of confusing. New COVID border restrictions. So you can see here that obviously the numbers were getting lower because of the new restrictions, and they went up. And they're doing fine. But if you look at Brexit, it's going up, 0.73. I don't even know what that's supposed to mean. Does that mean relative changing? Like, this graph is very, very weird. That's just bizarre. I don't understand why they put that in. Probably just to fill up the page. So this has been compounded by, this is the problems with trade have been compounded by the sudden introduction of mandatory COVID testing by the French government, which I don't blame the French government for, because we know that the new strain, the UK/South Africa strain, was very contagious. Which has added another layer of complexity. Government officials told MPs on Thursday that as many as 200 lorries are being turned back from Dover and Folkestone Shore Straits, crossing every day, with an average of 5% of vehicles found to be non-compliant. So this is probably over COVID tests or because they don't have the right paperwork. Now the UK itself, a third country, food importers and manufacturers told Sky they fear the new border arrangements will make the UK less attractive to European companies. And because of the extra checks, what this means is exporting or getting your truck, essentially, the lorry you use to actually get the product into the UK is being stuck in the UK, and with that driver, I don't think they're paid by the hour. They're paid by the distance of the journey. Typically, as far as I know of, what that means is these drivers are going to be far more reluctant to do it, and so what that means is you either pay them more or you lose that export market and you lose that business, which seems to be the case because it's not going to be worth it at some point because of the extra costs. So one told Sky News it has suspended exports while the new regulations bed in. So this is someone exporting to the EU, and that's why the key problem is it's not getting products into the UK, it's getting them out. Rodanto, a family-run fruit grower and importer, has 68 years' experience trading across the continent and owns farms in Spain and Morocco, as well as the UK, including its base Sidcup, Kent. Even with vast experience, its own fleet of lorries and staff in Europe has found the change of systems very tough. The challenges of getting fresh produce, and that's a key problem here, getting fresh produce into this country, be it strawberries, tomatoes, or whatever. The longer it stays in the lorry, obviously the quicker, the less shelf life it has, and that's where a key problem is. If you think a product has if it has 5 day shelf life, if that's cut down to 3, if they're not sold, then they're going to be put in the bin or given away, hopefully, in that case. And what that means is that shop has lost business money because they weren't able to sell the product which they could have sold over 5 days, if that makes sense. So we've got new challenges every week, it seems, and does not make it, and it does make it less attractive. Hauliers have an extra cost in coming here. They don't know if their drivers are going to get back within a certain amount of time, and that's a point that I've just discussed. If the wheels aren't moving, they're losing money, and ultimately so are we. So it does create an extra challenge. You've got other examples here of problems that we're having. And so if we look here, you can see that prepare for even worse ports chaos, Hawley is told. So the cabinet officers warned hauliers that Britain's border controls are about to face the sternest test since the Brexit transition period ended on December 31st. So somehow the tests are going to get worse, even though we're only about 21 days in. I don't know. Government modelling indicates that cross-channel freight will begin to return to normal in the coming days, raising the prospect of tailbacks up. Also, basically, in January there seems to be a lull with trade. December there's an increase. November, December there's an increase, and then January there's a lull because I think people have less money, so there's less imports. So here you can see that February is going to ramp up and it's going to get worse. Stockpiles. Oh yeah, and I forgot about stockpiling as well. So companies did a lot of stockpiling in December, and those stockpiles have been depleted. And cross-channel trade is picking up. So you've got a twofold there. You've got stockpiles running out, and you've got cross-channel border picking up, in part because the stockpiles have run out. And we've been lucky so far. Traffic volumes through ports have been quite low, but the next couple of weeks are going to be the main test. And what we can see from this is that scroll up a bit quicker here. It's down by, I think it's around a third. So here, traffic between Britain and the EU is down by almost a third. So when that starts picking up, that's when you're going to get problems. That's when you're going to get, lorry parks being full. That's where you're going to see those lorry companies being charged. I think it's like £50 an hour or something like that for customs checks. So if we keep looking at this article, because we've got some even more interesting news than this, if you actually care about this stuff. The Cabinet Office Border Operations Centre in London is monitoring ports. I mean, surely it should be, in Dover to monitor the ports. Really, that makes a lot more sense. The centre has been tracking lorries, turnbacks, where vehicles bound for the EU are stopped at the UK border and refuse permission to continue their journey. About half the turnbacks occur when a driver fails to produce the correct paperwork, and the other half is when they do not return a negative COVID test. It is understood turnbacks have fallen to about 4% in recent days. But if you think about it, you've got thousands of lorries coming through. 4% of those lorries is still going to be a very high number. Separately, UBS said the mountain of post-Brexit bureaucracy facing the service sector could be equivalent to imposing tariffs as much as 26%. And the Brexit deal doesn't actually cover tariffs. So for UK businesses to do business, to UK services to do business with the EU, is going to be very expensive and very difficult, which means that EU businesses are going to be far more reluctant to use UK services, which means that the UK is going to lose a lot of money because we are a service-based economy. We're a service-based economy, so if those services are not in use, that's a lot of money wasted, a lot of money lost. So Anna Titiveria, I've butchered that, an economist at UBS, said the increased administrative burden, to some extent softened by a number of provisions, poses risk to companies' long-term investment and employment plans. Disruption to services, trade stemming from non-tariff barriers could be the equivalent to a tariff of anywhere between 6 and 26%. So that's an extra, almost possibly a quarter increase in cost because of the tariffs. And depending on the sector, the financial service sector in particular is likely to face significant changes. The only way they're going to kind of get that business is by deregulating and making the UK more kind of more appeal to sort of bigger industries, because by deregulating it means they have less cost to deal with, but by deregulation that means the EU have means to hit us with tariffs and things like that. So it's a double-edged sword really. Service companies face new restrictions depending on what type of service they provide to, and the EU country they're dealing with. Further, the UK and the EU have yet to agree on new equivalents for UK financial services sector, which is worth nearly 132 billion a year, 6.5% of GDP. So they made a big stink about fishing, right? But when it came to the service sector, worth 6.5% of our GDP, 132 billion pounds, they forwent it because that wasn't patriotic. It didn't scream to the ravage racists and the idiots. UBS estimated in that time the hit to the services sector from non-tariff barriers could knock about 1%, a percentage point of Britain's growth. In addition, the impact of non-tariff barriers on the goods could knock an extra 0.5% off from growth. So that's kind of the boring stuff. But we get to the more interesting stuff here. Recently seen an article where the UK executives are, the UK are looking at, ignore that bit, loosening customs checks. And do you know how much that's going to cost the UK? Possibly
150 million.
No, Khabib, it's going to cost us 800 million in 2021. So the chief executive of the UK's Custom and Tax Authority has said the government has given orders to prioritise the flow of goods over the UK over compliance with customs regulations, and that means we might get sued by the WTO over this because we still don't do proper customs. We don't do certain checks now already because of the massive amounts of paperwork. And so the UK are looking at losing £800 million in customs duty and VAT because they want to keep the imports flowing. That's why. They want to keep the imports coming in, and that means it's going to cost us around £800 million. Yeah, that's how much we could lose in this year because the government have decided to get rid of these checks in order for goods to come in. And you could make it, that's a good point, you could say that, obviously the UK needs food and stuff coming in, because obviously people need to eat. But at the same time, this is another consequence of Brexit and the lack of, the lack of competence or foresight from the government. And Captain Hindsight, Keir Starmer's going to have fun over this because he can keep talking about this stuff. Here you got someone cited here, Jim Hara, the chief executive of HM Revenue and Customs, said that the UK was able to obtain 300 million in extra VAT as HMRC has tightened up the payment of VAT by online marketplaces, for example, eBay and Amazon. But we could have done that at any point, so it's a bit of a moot point. Emma Churchill, chief executive of the Border Delivery Group, was another who spoke during yesterday's select committee hearing. Ms. Churchill told the committee that around 5,000 trucks per day were currently crossing into the EU using the short straits, which is down from the 7,000 January average. So that's down by 2,000, but it's not just down to Brexit. It's possibly down to things like obviously the pandemic. People have less money, so things like exports, typically go down. But obviously Brexit is a key part of this. So far, just around 5% of the trucks have been held back due to issues with paperwork. So we've seen one article say 4%, another one say 5%, or COVID tests. So the amount of trucks moving between the UK and EU is nonetheless expected to increase. So that's something we've mentioned before. But the whole point of this is to say that we're having massive issues with lorries, even though trade with the EU has gone down by about a third. The government are warning, as trade picks up and as stockpiles start to deplete, that there are going to be even more problems with exporting to the EU, and also it's going to be more problems for the for the EU to get their export trucks, lorries, out of the UK, and that's going to make the UK an even less desirable export market. So that's going to cause even more problems within the UK. And now we've got this on top of this, which is the UK going to relax customs rules, which means that the taxman is going to lose out on about £800 million. And this £300 million thing is a red herring from the HMRC, because they could have done this at any point. So the UK is not going to lose
150 million.
We're going to lose 800 million. So, it just shows you, how stupid the UK government are. And we've got, a tweet from Dr. Anna Jaroszewska where she says that, remember all those tariffs that we're going to collect and use that to compensate our export as well. I might have some bad news for you. Other than the fact that the whole thing was a load of nonsense in the first place. So all that money that they promised to give these struggling industries because of all our tariffs and all this stuff is gone. Some of that money's not coming in. You got Kieran, the Euro courier, which has become a bit of a hero in Remain circles, because he actually has expertise in this area, because his job is exports, taking stuff around. The chief executive of HMRC has said the UK government has given orders to prioritise. Oh yeah, we've covered this stuff, about the 800 million thing. But I just want to hear it again. How much are we going to lose?
150 million.
No, it's 800 million. That's how much we're going to lose because of these changes to imports and stuff. And that's a story for another day. But yeah, what more's there to say apart from the fact that you done goofed? You done goofed, Brexiteers. You done goofed, Tories. How you feel? Because I'd feel mighty stupid if I were you pricks right now. Because not only have you caused massive tailbacks and lorry parks in certain parts of the country, in like Kent. Imagine you live in Kent and you voted for both the Conservative Party and Brexit. You must feel proper dumb now if you're one of those people. So we've seen we've seen a loss of trade with the EU. We've seen massive lorry queues because of new export rules and obviously COVID as well. And we've seen that the UK is going to lose £800 million worth of tax revenue because of these changes that are happening, because the UK needs the goods to come in. Honestly, are you guys not embarrassed right now? Are you guys not embarrassed? Do you not feel a bit of shame that, in order for you to get your perfect quote-unquote country, less immigrants, more jobs for the British, in your kind of, your nationalism and your patriotism, do you not realise that you apparently love this country so much that instead of helping it, and deal with the issues we have, you decided in your rampant stupidity to leave the European Union and destroy the country? You have destroyed the very thing that you claim to love. And, you've done a very stupid thing, and you've built this country up. You built this Brexit idea just to burn it down. You've burnt this country down. You have destroyed. You are helping to tank this country's economy. Do you not feel like massive frauds right now? The biggest frauds I've ever seen, fam. And I've seen the Arsenal team play, and that team is full of frauds. I've seen Man United teams that are full of frauds. But you Brexiteers, you're the biggest frauds I've ever seen. But yeah, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.